Welcome back, bow hunters. This is Ron with Stay Sharp Guide, and due to requests that I'm getting, we're going to do a video on how to sharpen the single bevel Annihilator. Now, I watched the video that Annihilator puts out talking about their take on sharpness, and I can tell you these heads feel sharp. But as I rub my finger across them, I can feel a little bit of a burr. So let's do something here first. Let's look at one of their edges. There I can feel a burr. Here I can feel a burr. Let's see what sort of an edge is present here. 713 for that edge. We'll do another one. Again, if you've watched any of the many videos that I put out on broadhead sharpening where I talk about the burr. Alright, so I did that one. Let's check this one. That one's a little bit better. But still, I think part of the issue is burr. So I'm just going to take a little wooden dowel with some 2000 grit, and I'm going to get rid of that burr so that I don't have to worry about it being the cause of those scores. Now, we're not putting any bevel on the backside. We are just breaking off any visible burr that would be there. Now let's look at it again to see if that helped at all. So when you get the heads new, you may wish to consider just breaking off the burr on the blade. So here's one where we broke the burr off. Let's see if it helped it at all. Well, come on. Burrs are a big deal, right? And so it took nothing. A little bit of sandpaper. This was, I think, 2000 grit, and all I did was lay it flat and do a little bit of burr breaking, and we saw a marketable improvement on it. But my job, well, let's start with your job. Your job is to dull this head. You want to send this through all manner of wild game and probably pass through into the dirt, which will really upset these edges. So out of the box sharpness, as I say over and over again, is a snapshot in time. You take it out of the box, you shoot it, tune it, make sure it flies well with your setup. You'll want to touch it up. You'll shoot an animal, you'll want to touch it up. Certainly this is a quality head that's not disposable. Every time you kill an animal, you're going to need to sharpen it. So your job is to dull it. My job is to talk about how to get it back to a factory edge. So for that, we will use our The Answer, and the Answer was developed for a lot of heads like this that you really can't sharpen through any other means. It'll come with the base, it comes with the grit holder, and we'll put that together. It also comes with this rod. We will put the rod in this hole on the end. I will go past where the threaded hole is. We'll tighten it by fingers. You don't need to tighten it any more than that. That's just enough to keep it out. Then you will also get 4 grits of diamond, 400, 800, 1200, 2000, and buffing compound. You'll also get this short section of arrow with an insert on it. The base itself has a broadhead wrench, so we can put our head in here, take it off, put it on. I'll snug it up good. After you're done sharpening, you don't want to be touching the sharp edges. We include a broadhead wrench in there. So let's talk about how we can get back to factory. You know, when I removed the burr, we were in the 200s. Let's see if we can do a little bit better than 200. So let's take the base. Here we've got a key. Now this happens to be a 3-blade head, so we're going to align one of the blades with the key. We'll pick this blade, and after playing around with it a little bit, I found that my depth of insertion had to be all the way in, as deep as I could get this head into the guide. We'll line it up with the key right there. Then we're going to tighten this screw. We'll make sure we're absolutely aligned. I can give it a little bit of a twist here. Went too far. We want to make sure one blade is aligned with the key. Alright. I think we are good. Then I will tighten this down. So, in the other videos where I showed you the amount of exposure of this arrow sticking out, in this case you're going to want to bring it all the way in, and snug up that screw after you've aligned one blade with the key back here. Alright, so now I'm going to take a black Sharpie marker and I'm going to color up this blade. Now it is a single bevel, so we won't be sharpening any more than what they do. So they, on all their blades, you can see there's a little bit of a sharpening taking place out here, the main blade, and that creates kind of a tanto tip to make the tip stronger, which is a great idea. I'm liking what I see with this head so far. All right, so now I've got one blade colored in, which is that one. I'm going to stick the rod in the furthest out hole on the side that is colored in with marker here. So here I am colored in with marker. I'm going to go on the furthest outward hole. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's put a diamond grit in here just to see what we get for wear. 3 dots on the grit holder. That's the side that you want to slide your diamond in with. That holds it in place. Little spring-loaded features on here to hold it in place. All right, so let's go back to that. We're sharpening this edge, so we're going to be in this furthest hole. Now, because we are tucked in so incredibly deep, we don't have a whole lot of stroke range, but you can see I'm laying nice and flat there, so I can come out, I can go in that much. That is my total stroke length, which is plenty. I'm just trying to see right now how we did for marker, wear, and alignment. And then we'll look at it. So we're not too far off the factory edge at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch, since this is a newer head, I'm not going to start all the way with 400. I'm going to go with 800 on this one. Then I'm going to again put it in the furthest hole out, and here I get to hold the collar of the answer guide as I move the head in and out. So I can move the head over the stone, or I can move the stone over the head. And you hear that tap, tap, tap. That's me hitting the base. That's as much stroke as I get. And 800 is still a rather coarse grit. And what we care about, like you saw in the beginning, is that burr. We want to get it, but we absolutely want to get rid of it. Alright, so we've got good wear showing up. We're not out to the end of that Sharpie marker just yet, so that tells me we probably don't have a burr. I'm going to put it back in the guide, hold it by the collar, and I'm going relatively fast. If you want to go nice and slow, that's entirely up to you, but you'll find a comfortable means of doing this that works for you. I've got the arm that's holding the diamond plate setting on the edge of the table, and I'm floating the hand that's holding the answer guide and the broadhead, and that seems to work best for me. We're not pushing down hard, and you see the build up in front of the blade. That means we're removing some material. Look at it again. Alright, so we might be to where there's a burr, and to test for a burr, as I show in all my videos, a little piece of post-it note, and we're going to slide that along the back, and you see how it stops there? It won't advance. It pops as it jumps over it. That tells us we've got a burr. Right there. It's not as much burr as I would like, so I know I probably have a little bit more cleanup to do to get that. So I'll give it a few more strokes. The goal in sharpening is reaching a burr. That tells us that we've folded over a little excess metal on the apex over to the other side, in this case the flat side of the head. And once we achieve the burr, there's no point in doing any more sharpening with that particular grit. We'll want to use that grit then to break off the burr. Alright, so there we are. I have a noticeable burr that I can feel. What I'll do now is I'm going to slide it also in the direction of those 3 dots. Slide that out, and I'm going to break that burr off. I can just hold the diamond grit flat. I'm not trying to introduce a bevel. I'm just trying to ensure that I got rid of any burr that's back there. Now you see I didn't put any bevel on. There's no burr that I can feel. It's already feeling very sharp. So now we're going to set aside 800. We're going to go to 1200. See the dots? Insert the diamond on that side. Which one was I sharpening? There we are. Again, the same hole. I'll hold the collar of the guide. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to move the diamond instead of the broadhead. Entirely up to you what you feel more comfortable with. Now I'll move the head over the diamond and explore the whole plate. I can go way to the right here. I can go way to the left. I can swing around this plate. Don't just go down the middle and wear out the middle of the diamonds. And get as much stroke as you can. And once you've gotten your first burr with whatever grit it is, I could have started with 400. I opted to go 8 on this one. Your second, third, and fourth burr will be all the more easier to get. The first burr is your foundation for success. Now, do I have a... Nope, I don't feel a burr yet at 1200. Now you can see the buildup on the back side. You can probably actually even see that little burr that we created, and I can feel it. So I'm going to take 1200 grit out. I will lay it as flat as I can. Make sure I get rid of that little burr that we created. Till I can feel it no more. We've pushed a little bit of burr to this side, which is fine. The burr goes from this side to that side to this side to that side until it actually breaks off. So we're getting sharper. I'm going to go do some 1200. Rather than making this video forever long, I'll do 2000 grit, and then I'll come back and talk about buffing. Alright, so I'm at 2000 grit right now. I can see that build up. I can see that I have a burr at 2000 now. And as I said, our stroke is rather short because of how deep we've inserted this in here. But you don't have to just use that side of the diamond plate, right? You can take that diamond plate, flip it around. And these diamond plates work on knives, whatever you want. If you want to take them out of the guide and use them for something else. Knives, fish hooks, whatever is on your mind will be in the bottom hole. We have good alignment. So you don't have to just use one edge of the diamond plate. And now we are going to take 2000 grit out, and we are going to do some 2000 grit burr breaking. Remember, we don't leave any burr on there. We see what happens when burr is left behind there, and in the many videos that I've made where I've shown the burr under the microscope, you can see how big it is and the impacts that it has on sharpness. Alright, so the next step is going to be buffing. And buffing does two things with the answer sharpening guide that I'm using. I get to actually clean my diamond plates when I buff. Because when I peel this tape up, I'm going to peel up all that debris that was on there. So you'll see as I push, it gets darker because I'm really pushing that in. And here's that little wooden dowel that I was using to break the burr off earlier. So you can see the darkening happening. That's me pushing the adhesive into the diamonds. That ensures that my tape is good and smooth and flat, but it also pushes that adhesive into the crevasses of the diamonds, and when I peel this tape off, you're going to see how clean our plate gets. Alright, now, because this is what's going to ram into the guide, we'll peel off that excess. Here's the buffing compound that you're going to get with it. We don't need to cover the whole plate since we don't have that long of a stroke. So now we've got a buffing surface. Always use this on the smoothest plate, which is the 2000 grit plate. Alright, we're going to find the blade we're working with. That's the one that aligns with the key. Again, we'll go into this hole. And for buffing, you always want to use a pulling stroke only. You're not going to ever push because you'll just snow plow that buffing compound right off the tape, or you'll cut the tape. Do not apply buffing compound to the diamond plate. You have to use tape. If you put buffing compound on your diamond plate, it's toast. It's junk. Don't do that. Use the tape. Again, it's got the added benefit of cleaning your plate when you peel it off. Now you can see the green is turning black as I'm buffing this. Again, only a pulling stroke. Now we're going to clean this up a little bit just to get a look at it. And you'll see the sort of edge that we are producing here. But we have not removed the buffing burr, so let's do that. Go to that same blade, and we're going to just buff away the little burr that we created. Alright, that's turning into be a pretty good edge. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm a fan of buffing, and I know what it does to an edge, I'm going to keep going with the buffing rather than having you watch me over and over and over, because I buff one side, break it off, buff one side, break it off. I'll keep buffing, and then we're going to come back and do a sharpness test to see how we did. I've been buffing for about 2 minutes now on this head. It reminded me that John Lusk did a broadhead testing video with this head. I will link that in the description. So let's look at our edge. Those are my ceiling lights in the background, you can see. It feels very good. Now remember, I told you how the tape helps for buffing, but it also helps to clean the plate. Look what's coming up off of the plate, and you don't have to just do this at 2000. You can use tape to clean off all of your plates. So use that as a tip. And then the most important part is making sure you keep these diamond plates dry, because this is a steel head. Anything trapped in here that's remains behind is steel. If these get wet, it'll look like the plate is rusting. Diamonds never rust. What would be rusting is any of the steel left in here, so don't let these get damp. Alright, so now we're going to slide our 2000 grit plate out, and we're going to do just a little bit of burr breaking, because the burr at buffing isn't much, but we want to make sure there is no burr left behind. Alright, let's see what we look like. Get sure there's no glare. There we go. Alright, the edge that I was sharpening, you can see where I've removed some of their coating. So let's see there we go. Let's see what we got for an edge. $155. That's pretty good. That would get us into the roughly razor blade range. We're keeping their bevel, right? So if you look at the Tanto tip, looks like what they've got. Here's the blade we sharpened. Let's get in here close. That's the work we did, and you can see the burr breaking back here. And 155 is a heck of a score. So that is sharpening the Annihilator Single Bevel with the answer. Again, you get 4 grits of diamond, all these other components, the buffing compound. You would have to supply your tape, and it's just 3/4 inch wide freezer tape, nothing special. You could use blue painter's tape as well. But as I said, it cleans the plates off Let's look at that again. This is what I peeled off when I was buffing. This is what came off on the back side. I guess it's stuck together. So if your plates seem like they're getting dull, it's not. They're just getting impacted. Clean them off with some tape. At any rate, there you go. That's the Annihilator Single Bevel sharpened with the answer. Thanks for watching.